The Galactic Council had existed for over 12,000 cycles, a monument to civilized discourse and diplomatic resolution. In all that time across hundreds of member species, they had never encountered a civilization quite like humanity. Ambassador Krelthos of the Zenthari Empire adjusted his translation matrix as he addressed the council chamber. His species had ruled vast sectors of space for millennia, their military might unquestioned. Today he would make an example of these newcomers, these humans, who had dared to establish colonies in contested space. The creatures who call themselves human are a primitive species, Krelthos announced, his mandibles clicking with contempt. They have barely achieved faster-than-light travel. Their worlds number only 7. They possess no significant military capability by our standards. Around the circular chamber, representatives from dozens of species murmured agreement. The holographic display showed Earth's solar system, a single yellow star with its collection of unremarkable planets. We demand they vacate the Rigel sector within 10 standard days, Krelthos continued, or face the consequences. The human ambassador, a woman named Sarah Chen, stood calmly at her podium. She was small by galactic standards. Her species adapted to a gravity well that most council members would consider dangerously high. Her dark eyes surveyed the chamber with an expression Krelthos couldn't quite interpret. Ambassador Krelthos, she said, her voice steady. The Rigel colonies are legally established under Galactic Charter 447b. We have no intention of abandoning our people. Then you condemn them to death, Krelthos replied. The Zenthari Third Fleet will arrive in the sector in 15 days. I suggest you use that time to reconsider. The council adjourned. Most representatives assumed the matter was settled. The Zenthari had never lost a conflict. Humanity would bend or they would break. 14 days later, the Zenthari Third Fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Rigel sector. 200 warships, each the size of a small moon, their weapons capable of cracking planets. Admiral Vextar felt almost disappointed. This would barely qualify as a military exercise. Scan for human vessels, he ordered. The tactical officer's sensors swept the system. Admiral, I'm detecting nothing, no military presence. Just the colony stations and some civilian transports. Vextar's satisfaction grew. They had fled, as expected. Begin bombardment of the nearest. Wait! The tactical officer interrupted, his voice suddenly tense. I'm detecting spatial anomalies. Hundreds of them. All around us, the view screen erupted with data. Small vessels, impossibly small by Zenthari standards, were materializing from what appeared to be compressed hyperspace tunnels. Thousands of them, like a swarm of insects. Human fighters, the officer reported. But Admiral, this makes no sense. Those vessels are too small to carry effective weapons. They can't possibly... The first missile struck Vextar's flagship before he could finish the thought. The humans had done something no other species had considered. They had miniaturized their weapon systems to an extreme degree. Each fighter carried nuclear-pumped laser warheads, antimatter mines, and kinetic penetrators moving at 0.9 light speed. They were too small, too fast, and too numerous for the Zenthari targeting systems designed to fight capital ships. But it wasn't just the technology. It was the tactics. The human pilots flew like nothing Vextar had ever encountered. They ignored every doctrine of space warfare, making maneuvers that would kill most species from the G-forces alone. They rammed Zenthari vessels when their ammunition ran out. They used their own damaged ships as improvised weapons. They showed no fear, no hesitation. Within 3 hours, the Zenthari Third Fleet was reduced to debris. 20 cycles later, Krelthos stood before the Galactic Council once more. His empire had sued for peace after humanity's counteroffensive reached their core worlds. He was here to formally acknowledge human sovereignty over the disputed territories. Ambassador Chen watched impassively as Krelthos delivered his species' formal apology. When he finished, she finally spoke. The Galactic Council should understand something about my species, she said, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. We didn't develop faster-than-light travel because we were peaceful explorers. We developed it because we were running out of room to fight each other. For 10,000 years, we waged war on our own planet. We weaponized everything, atoms, diseases, information, even space itself. She paused, letting that sink in. When we finally achieved peace among ourselves, it wasn't because we became docile. It was because we became terrified of what we could do. Every human carries the genetic memory of ancestors who survived ice ages, plagues, and wars that killed billions. We are by nature survivors, fighters, problem solvers who refuse to quit even when logic says we should. Chen's gaze swept across the assembled species. The Xanthari assumed we were weak because we were new to the stars. They made the mistake of judging us by their own standards. They forgot the most important rule of galactic politics. She leaned forward, and for the first time, Krelthos saw something in her eyes that made his blood run cold. Don't fuck with humans. The council chamber remained silent long after Ambassador Chen departed. A new era of galactic politics had begun, and at its center stood humanity. No longer dismissed, no longer underestimated. The other species would learn, as the Xanthari had learned, that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their numbers. It was their absolute, terrifying refusal to surrender.